Hi and good afternoon. My name is Gina Campanella and I am with Campanella Law Office in Wyckoff, New Jersey. And we welcome you to our first in a series, helping healthcare professionals find their way home. And this is Meet the Realtor Part 1. And I will allow our realtors that are on our webinar today a moment to introduce themselves as well.
Thank you so much, Gina, and I'm really excited to be here. I know we have different topics scheduled for the next few weeks, every Tuesday, 12 o'clock. My name is Nakia Rizvani, and I'm with the Rizvani Group at Keller Williams. We have many offices in Bergen County, 5 of them. I'm affiliated with the Wyckoff and the Ridgewood office. I have a team, and one of my team members is Andrew Casella, who we have here. Andrew.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrew Andres Casella. I work on the Rizvani Group at Keller Williams Village Square in Ridgewood. I've been with the company here for I guess since April. I've been a registered nurse for over 20 years, so our initiative here with giving back to our healthcare providers is really near and dear to my heart. And with the help of the Rizvani Group and now Gina, I think we're going to be able to really move this forward. So I'm really proud of what we've done so far since COVID started. We've done over 15 transactions and saved our buyers and sellers quite a bit of money.
Yeah, the healthcare initiative began back in March when COVID hit. And of course, everybody was unsure of what was happening and how to navigate this. And Andrew and I felt a little helpless as far as, the healthcare workers go. Andrew was going into the hospital. He was seeing, what was happening and how serious the situation was. And I said to him, what can we do to help and give back? We thought about, delivering the pizzas and making the masks, and so many amazing people were doing these things. What we came up with was pulling together different providers we work with, mortgage representatives, attorneys, inspectors, contractors who we thought would want to help too. So we collected.
There's an echo.
Sorry, I apologize. Okay, my apologies.
Okay.
I was trying to manage the controls on this side. Forgive me.
No problem. As long as you're doing that, not me, because I am not with that. So we found other people wanted to help too. So all these preferred vendors discounted their prices, and we now have a package that we can offer any frontline workers who want to buy or sell a home with us, and they receive savings. So like Andrew said, we've closed about 15 transactions, saved clients thousands of dollars on these transactions. And now we're working with Gina too, who works with many healthcare workers in many different ways at your law firm, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So today's focus is going to be on selling your home. And this is real casual. You have questions. Gina, what do people need to do if they want to ask a question?
Absolutely. Like I said, today is part 1 of a 3-part series. And today, Nikki and Andrew are going to focus on what you need to do if you're getting ready to sell your home, or if you're interested in selling your home in this type of a market, and talk a little bit about what's going on with the market right now as well, because we all know this is a very unique and interesting market, especially for those of us in the suburbs right now. So if you do have a question, there is a chat box on your screen. Just type your question into that chat box, and I will bring the question to Andrew and Nikki's attention, and they'll be able to answer it for you. So why don't you guys take it away? And as you come in, I'll let you know.
Okay, well, I thought first we would just kind of update you a little bit on what the market's like. So Andrew is out working with the buyers and showing homes. And I know on Sunday, Renee, our other agent, was at an open house where there was a long line in the middle of a snowstorm. And we showed that home, and she ended up writing an offer, and she was up against 10 other offers to get that accepted. And we are very close to getting it accepted. But Andrew, what are you finding as far as being a seller in this market is like, from your perspective?
From the buyer's perspective, it's very difficult because the inventory is low. There's not that many great houses. There's a lot of houses, but not all of them fit everybody's needs. The interest rate is historic lows, so there are a ton of qualified buyers out there. It's every single home that we're going up has multiple offers, usually above asking. It's kind of challenging. It's definitely still a seller's market. Normally
It is
we
a
see
seller's market.
yeah. Normally we see after
absolutely.
Super Bowl Sunday, that's when we come back in the spring market, but we haven't stopped. So there hasn't been a lull yet in our market. So it's people are still very active.
Definitely a seller's market. It's a different kind of market. There's when I sit down and meet with sellers, and that's if you want to sell your home, that's the first step. You want to call us up. We have a meeting with you. What we find that works best, and of course we do everything as safe as we can with masks and disclosing where we've been, and we're very careful about all that. But it's a two-step process, and the beginning is getting to know the seller. So I like to say there's a business financial piece to the transaction, and then there's like a psychological emotional part to the transaction. So what we like to do is really understand our sellers and what they're looking for and why they want to sell and what that means to them. So we ask a lot of questions. We do a lot of listening. Our sellers give us tours of the home, and through that tour, we begin to understand what's most important to them. Through that tour of the home, we evaluate the house room by room. Andrew's taking lots of notes, and I'm talking and understanding what you're looking for as far as a sale price, as far as how fast you want to close, what's important to you about your house, what you love about your house, what you think the buyers will love about your house. And then we talk about preparing the home for sale, right, Andrew? So
right, we kind of go through the home. We're not inspectors, but we've done this for a little while, and we can kind of tell you what points of the home need to be, any kind of adjustments or repairs, who to call, contractors and of that sort prior to putting your home on the market. We
really focus on preparing your home for sale. It can take 1 week, it can take 3 months, it can take a year. I mean, we work with people at your time frame, with your timeline, and the way you need to operate. Because again, it's emotional too. Getting through that. We have clients that have lived in a home for 30 years. We have clients that are very uncomfortable with the neighbors knowing their business. We help you navigate what to communicate to whom and when and how. But as far as preparing the house for sale, we're going to focus on those red flag items. Maybe you don't have any active leaks in the house, but you had a leak 2 years ago and there's a stain on that ceiling. And we're going to say to you, we need to take some paint, we need to touch that up, because although there's no leak, and we believe you that there's no leak, we know what the buyers are going to look for, and we know what the buyers are going to ask. So,
and Nikki, we do have a question that just came in. The question is, do you recommend the seller get a home inspection to correct any permit or regulatory items to reduce the probability of these being a bargaining item to reduce the price?
Okay, well, that's a really good question. And Andrew and I have gone back and forth with this as well. And then I love having an attorney here to advise us too. I think it can have its place for you to understand what perhaps could be wrong with your home. Something to keep in mind is that whatever, when you have an inspection and you receive an inspection report, you have a legal disclosure obligation. Isn't that correct, Gina?
You do. And what I typically recommend to my clients, because usually I get involved in the process after you guys are already involved. But I always encourage the realtors I work with to have their clients select an attorney before there's a contract. so I can really be an interactive part of the process from day one.
Mm-hmm.
I advise clients in that position is, yeah, maybe you want to have an inspector come in and give you some ideas, but don't get that formal written report. Because once you get into the situation where you have that formal written report, that is something you have to disclose. That is something that if there is a problem down the line, can then be used against you. So I do recommend that people are very cautious about doing any kind of pre-inspections. And particularly if you do want to do that pre-inspection, be very cautious about having the inspector issue anything to you in writing.
Right. We want your house to be safe for sale. Okay, so when we walk through, we are going to focus on red flags. And if we see something like something like a sidewalk that's partially raised because of tree roots, that's a tripping hazard, that could potentially, somebody could get hurt. We're going to tell you, you know what, you need to address this. When we open up the electrical box, it says Federal Pacific up top. We're going to say, you know what, not only has this been determined to be a fire hazard, but we know also for your own safety, we also know the buyers and then their attorney is going to say it has to come out, go change the electrical box, and then we'll advise you. So anything we ask you to do is really more about safety. Some cosmetics, okay, but we're not going to ask you to invest a lot of money into your home and change it in such a way that it may not be appealing to the next buyer. So as far as the pre-inspection goes, it sounds like, Gina, you can have one for informational purposes. You don't need to have a whole written up report. I don't know. I know Andrew and I have both experienced selling a house more than once, the same house, and having two completely different inspection reports received from those buyers, right, Andrew?
That's correct. I mean, so it's important to do have somebody walk through, and when we walk through, we actually do look pretty closely and intimately at your home. We go into the basement, into the attic, into the bedrooms and the bathrooms. We really make sure that things are safe, and if there's any red flag issues, that's important to bring up. We'll also let you know if it's something that maybe you should leave and not do, and use maybe if the seller, or excuse me, the buyers would like to address it, they can certainly address it at that time. But we do find that some items are, it's a necessary evil to take care of prior to putting your house on the market. So,
like, let's think really about those like hot button words, asbestos. If we walk through and we see asbestos on pipes, mold, right?
There's structural issues. We saw one last week, a structural issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one
if we
that need to be addressed prior to.
Suspect some kind of pests, whether they're mice, termites, whatever, those types of things. Those are kind of our hot button items. Active leaks, right?
And we do yes, we do have a follow-up question to that.
Oh, good.
And it's kind
exciting.
Yeah, I was going to say it's related to the current state of this market, which
okay.
I would agree and can explain to the viewers what it means to have a seller's market. But the question is, in a seller's market such as this one, do your recommendations as to what to fix prior to sale change?
I would say so, to an extent, right, Andrew?
Yes, you definitely want to have your house appeal to as many people as possible. And certainly little fixes. You want to change the light switch panel. That is such a simple little fix, like the cover over it, from like an older one to maybe a nice fresh white, and they cost maybe $1.19 at Home Depot. Little things to touch up your house and make it more appealing to more people is always better. Keeping things so very custom, sometimes you're gonna narrow your focus, and our goal is to show your home to as many people as possible. And with the social media and MLS and our marketing tools, we're able to really push it out to quite a few people. It's how you expand and you make the best opportunity to sell your home for the most money.
And I think you still have to price your home correctly. Yes, we're getting premium prices for our houses, but if you're going to overprice your home, you're going to have a problem in many ways. Maybe it's going to be that you won't get the offers. Maybe, yeah, we're having some appraisal issues lately too. But as far as being at seller's market and what to tweak for sale, you don't necessarily have to do what maybe you would have had to do in a less competitive, less aggressive seller's market. Okay, so you've got that carpet that's kind of ugly, and maybe you would have said, okay, rip it up and go finish the hardwood floors underneath. Well, in this market, we may say, pull up a corner and let the buyer see what they can do when they get your house. So
yeah, hardwood floor, they'll be excited about it. Exactly. Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question. Okay. So as far as other ways to prepare getting the home for sale, we're going to address the red flags. We are going to, we kind of do a little bit of pre-staging with your house. And what I mean by staging is it's not calling some big company to come in and, spend tens of thousands of dollars to stage your home. It's really taking what's already there and maybe just adjusting it and tweaking it. So Andrew and I walk through room by room, and we'll say, hey, are you open to us maybe pulling a piece of furniture out if it's just cluttering up the room? We need to depersonalize sometimes, because what's personal and lovable and valuable to you won't necessarily be for the next person. Do we have to take out every photo? No, absolutely not, because we want your home to be appealing, and pictures of people that are happy in a home is appealing. But we may, instead of having 5 photos on a table, we may have 2. So I've spent hours really just pre-staging and helping sellers to do that. Sometimes it's moving one item of furniture to a different room. Sometimes I'll say, okay, I really do think like this trim is just so beat up when you first walk in the door. That's the first thing they're going to see, right, Andrew? We just advise someone to go ahead and just paint one wall when you walk in the house. Paint that front door. The first thing, another house, which we're listing soon, the front door wasn't appealing, and it really just needed a little bit of trim, and it made the world of difference, right?
Sure.
So we don't want to spend your money, but we're going to tell you what's important.
The easiest, most inexpensive way. Really, less is more. We found too much stuff people can't see beyond that. So the more you can move out and declutter, I think the better you'll be. And you don't have to spend a fortune doing so.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then something to consider too is we may say to you, okay, we see this as being an issue or an objection. The buyers are going to have this objection. I'm not necessarily going to ask you to deal with it right now, but let's go ahead and, move forward. If it comes up during inspections, then we know either you'll deal with it, maybe you'll give a credit, maybe you'll put a home protection plan on the house for $700 that deals with a bunch of minor issues. So we really want to be very cost effective. You shouldn't have to be spending thousands and thousands of dollars to put your house on the market. We want it to show well, and usually that simply means a bunch of decluttering, deep cleaning. That's a huge one. When somebody walks in the house, they should not be smelling dirt. They should not have some sort of, whatever types of odors or, just cleanliness of the house in general is very important.
A nice smell is always okay. I just wanted a nice smell, like a candle is fine. I wanted to touch on one thing you said was give me credit. We on a home in the spring, or maybe the summertime, we saw a house that had some minor structural issue, and we put it out there initially that the seller was going to credit any buyer coming in for that one issue, and it did come up, and it was an issue. And because we brought it up ahead of time, and we mentioned it in the MLS at the time when the buyer said, hey, we want to deduct money from this, that's perfectly fine. We've already set aside this credit for this specific issue.
Right.
That's a big thing too. We know what's going to come up. We've worked on plenty of sales and purchases with many clients that we know our inspectors what they're going to find and what's going to be an issue for the buyers and what they're going to let go. There's things that they're going to let go. So you don't necessarily always want to fix everything and put all your money out for fixing things that they're not going to want to repair anyway, because this is a seller's market. You have more leverage there as the seller, and people are looking to buy your house.
Yeah,
Now's
and
the right time.
oh, sorry, Andrew.
No,
One
please.
add to that as well from the attorney perspective, and another reason why I do find it's important for sellers to have their whole team together from day one, even when they're preparing to sell. I have very frequently had conversations with my clients right now who are selling. They say, oh, well, it's as is. We said in the listing, it's as is. And that's good. And I think that's important. And I'm sure you guys would agree, to prepare the buyer to make their offer knowing that anything cosmetic, anything visible, the seller is probably not going to put money on the table to credit or fix. But that doesn't mean that a buyer may not still come back and say, I want a credit, even if we have all that beautiful language in the attorney review letter. It says it's as is, we're only fixing structural things. So even if you intend to sell your home as is, I still highly recommend that you take all of Nikki and Andrew's advice, because as is, all that really means is you're just warning the seller that you're probably not going to agree to fix little things, but the seller is still going to, or the buyer rather, is still going to have that inspection, and they're still going to ask. So it's better to deal with these things in the forefront, even if you are out there as an as-is sale.
I mean, in
That's
the
a
New
really
Jersey
good point.
contract, it's already put in there in the contract itself that all the sales are as is. It's kind of rhetorical that they put it in there, the
Right.
sellers, but people do, and the buyers always ask for credit anyway. So
Right.
Absolutely. And something that I was reminded of, and as in so many times in life, we have to be careful about making assumptions, about what we think is important to someone or what we think is going to happen. Like Andrew had referred to before, we had a seller who said, oh, I can fix these back steps because it's going to cost me $4,000. I'm going to fix these back steps because I know somebody coming in is going to say that's what they want done. I said, you know what? They're safe. People can walk up and down them. They're kind of ugly, but I don't think we should assume that's what people are going to want to do, because I think people are going to want to actually put a deck off the back, or they're going to prefer to completely remove the steps they don't want to repair, or maybe they want a patio. So be careful about making the assumption of what you think the buyer is going to want, because just what's appealing to you doesn't mean it's appealing to them. And you should have your team of professionals to rely on it and guide you. And what is nice working with a group like us is, you have the attorney, your buyer's agent, your seller's agent, you have all of our opinions. And then we work, because we've been in the business 13 years, we sell a lot of real estate. We have professionals that we can pull from and ask questions of. We were in a house recently. We didn't know if that was mold, and immediately Andrew hopped on the phone, shot off a picture, not to one, but to two different professionals, advise us. What do you think? What should we do? So
Absolutely. And I have another question that says, I have heard that older septic systems, including drain fields, which are also referred to as cesspools. So drain fields and cesspools, that's interchangeable, have to be redone when selling your home. I'm not sure if this is a New Jersey thing or a local thing in my county. Any info? First thing I'm going to ask the questioner to do is, can you just pop up another question and let us know what county you're in?
yes.
And I guess I'll just say, from first and foremost, from the legal perspective, that is actually typically town by town. And almost all towns require cesspools to be replaced. And septic systems are typically based on inspection, or I very recently had a client who was close enough to sewer hookup that did have to hook up to sewers before she could sell. Okay, our questioner is in Cape May County. So Nikki and Andrew, what would you like to add to that?
Well, to your point, Gina, you're right. If you're close enough to the public sewer hookup and your septic tank has failed, the town will more likely than not require you to hook up to the town, which is an added expense more than just running the line out. You have to, crush and backfill your septic tank, and it's a lot to it. So yeah, it can be quite expensive. A new septic tank, and again, not a contractor, but here the 35, 40,000 sometimes is the amount to repair or excuse me, replace your septic. If you're in a more rural area where there's no option for that, then if your tank fails, there's not much else you can do other than replacing it with a new septic.
Well, and what's interesting about that is, again, about making assumptions for the buyers coming in. So what I will say, sometimes sellers will tell me, I think my septic's going to fail. Okay, well, you can go ahead and determine that. And there's this pre-inspection piece, okay, because when your septic does fail, that inspector, I believe, has to send the report to the EPA, and then it's on record that you have a failed septic. And the towns that I've worked in, they require you to have a working septic, or I have negotiated that the buyer will install a septic within a certain number of days after closing on a house. And what I mean by assumptions is, I don't know that you should just go ahead and run and replace that septic before you put it on the market, because what if the person buying wants to add a level and add a 4th or 5th bedroom, and now you only have a 3 or 4 bedroom septic, and now you have narrowed your pool of buyers by replacing that septic. So again, that's what we're here for, to guide you in all these different scenarios.
That's such a large expense to replace, and to your point, Nikki, you're right. Usually the towns will give you a grace period for the buyer, and again, I've heard it was 90 days, and you could be, that's correct. You can actually work that into the crediting at the end of the sale of the house too. So you don't actually have to put money out. Let's say you have a failed septic. Okay, so what? At the end, you have money in escrow, and that's your sale price, and the amount you're going to get back will be less than what you would normally get, but you don't have to put the money out front before you sold the house. That's a big.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. I mean, I've seen all different scenarios. I've been in the scenario where the septic failed, but exactly as Nikki said, the person buying the house intended to pump up and out, and they were going to need a larger septic anyway. So we were able to negotiate just a small credit and a temporary C of O with a grace period from the town for that buyer to put in a new septic. I've also had the situation in one of the towns that I work in. If you are within a certain distance of sewer and your septic fails, you do have to hook up to the sewer. There's also other scenarios where even if you're not in a certain distance, or even if your septic is fine, you have to hook up to sewer. I recently had that with one of the towns that I work in. So, but I have also had individuals that say, okay, well, the septic, it's old, but it didn't fail. But we're going to hook up to sewers anyway. So maybe we can negotiate something where we have a certain period of time to hook up to the sewers, and maybe just a little bit of a credit, something like that. So these are all things. I think it's very important that you really listen to what Nikki and Andrew were saying. Don't make assumptions about the repairs that a buyer is going to want. Because again, in that first example, I could have had a seller that paid to replace an entire septic that a buyer was going to rip out in 30 days anyway, and have to replace with something new. And quite frankly, it saved everyone a lot of money.
Great. Lots of good information here. This, yeah, definitely. Good. So how are we looking with time and questions?
We're right up on 12:30. So
okay.
I was gonna, if anybody else has any additional questions, get those in now. I'm sure I speak for all of us. If anybody has questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to any of the three of us.
And what is the best way to do that, Gina? Should we just give them our contact information right now?
Yes, what I'll actually be doing is for attendees, you will get a follow-up email from GoToWebinar that'll have our contacts information in there. And then, yeah, I mean, Nikki and Andrew, if you want to share, we can each share our contact information here live now as well. And even if you want to just reply to whatever email you got or social media post you saw that you registered for this presentation, the message will get to us that way as well.
Good, good. And
So Nikki, how do they reach you and Andrew?
yeah, so Nikia Rizvani on all of our social media. It's Nikki Knows Homes, so Nikki Knows Homes. That's on Facebook, on Instagram. My phone number is 551-206-6698. And Andrew on my team is an amazing buyer's agent. And his contact.
My
Yep,
cell
and
is
how do
973.
I was going to say, how do they reach you, Andrew?
Yeah, thank you. 973-214-2536. My email is andras.realtor@gmail.com, and I'm on the same website as Nikki, NikkiKnowsHomes.com.
On Facebook, the Helping Healthcare Professionals Find Their Way Home is our Facebook page for our frontline workers. Okay, so you can check that out too. Thanks.
Yep, and
Thank you.
I can always be, I can always be reached at my office in Wyckoff. You can call me at 201-891 3726. Sorry, I have so many blanked for a minute. And my website is glcbusinesslaw.com, and that is also my social media handle on Facebook and Instagram as well. So if you get one of us, you'll get all three of us. So even if you are only able to find one of us, we can connect you to the other person. And we all next week for part 2.
Great.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you
See you
all
next
very
week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.